So before beginning, I would like to introduce you to the expert of this session, Mr. Gurmeet Singh Hora. So Mr. Gurmeet Singh Hora is a member of the John Maxwell team. He is a leading positive psychology and life coach. He focuses on the strength of each individual and help them in using their strengths optimally to lead a mindful life. Gurmeet comes with more than 2.5 decades of corporate experience across various organizations like National Stock Exchange of India, Polaris Software, Wipro, HCL Technology, Refinitiv, London Stock Exchange Group. He understands that stress is, and how it can impact the life of an individual, both in their professional and personal lives. He has been instrumental in transforming the lives of all his colleagues who have worked with him during his professional journey. He is blessed to touch and transform the lives of all those wonderful souls who call themselves the happiest people on the earth today. Gurmeet is a computer science graduate and MBA with specialization in finance. He is also a certified trainer from the prestigious Indian Academy of Training and Development, a trainer, a certificate from the Positive Psychology course certificate by ICF, then Life course certified by ICF. ICF means International Coach Federation, then Certified Emotional Intelligence Practitioner, Certified NLP Master Practitioner, and Certified EFT TFT Practitioner. Working under tremendous stress in his professional life, he realized that he is going to use stress as a stepping stone to give his best in whatever he does and move ahead in his professional journey. He has successfully conducted sessions on the stress management, conflict management, happiness 24/7, emotional intelligence, positive psychology, NLP for people coming from various professional backgrounds and different age groups. He has always ensured that each of his participants not only learn from his life experiences but also demonstrate their learning then and there in the session, as he believes that learning by doing is the best way to practice the same once you are out of his session. His sessions are always intense and he ensures that fun element is not missing in his sessions, as fun makes the learning easy and effective also, and it is energetic also. He ensures that each of his participants leave his session with a big smile. His trademark is there is always a humor in all the scenarios of life. One has to find that and move on with a smile. Now I invite Gurmeet Singh Hora for his talk. Gurmeet, please.
Thank you very much, Manpreet. Thank you very much. It was a very detailed introduction. Thank you for that. But all that is on paper. It looks very good on paper, but it becomes more effective if I am able to touch even of a life of a single person today out of the 80 plus people who have already logged in. So my heartfelt thanks to each one of you, because we all are going through tough times and still coming for such sessions. It's a big thing. So I'll start within a minute. Okay. So basically, the target today should not be that whatever I teach, you need to understand everything. I think each of you will focus on what is more important to you, and based on that, what you can pick it up. Target should be to ensure that when you leave this session, maybe somewhere around after 2 hours, you should be a changed person in a better way. Even if that change is 5% or 10% change, I think that is a success for me, and that will be the value for the time which you are spending with me. May I request all of you, because I will be doing 2 assessments during this 2 hours. So for that, you will need either a piece of paper and pen or pencil. So it will be good if you can have a paper or pencil pen with you. If you are already not having, that will be very helpful, because we will do 2 assessments, and those 2 assessments will really help you to lead a much better life from what you are today. That's the target which I'm going to keep. So with this, let me start. I don't want to be visible on screen. I want my content to be visible on screen along with my audio. So as and when I need to come on screen, I will switch on my camera. Few instructions. I know I think I'm told that most of you them are teachers in this audience. So I cannot dictate any terms to you, but yes, in case in between the session, if you feel my speed is high and you want me to slow down, please feel free to unmute yourself and let me know. I will slow down accordingly. I'm keeping last 10 minutes for the question answer session. So you can keep your questions with you, and in the last 10 minutes, we can take as many questions as possible. However, if in between you feel, no, if this question is not answered, then moving ahead is not going to make any sense for you. Please stop me there, unmute yourself, stop me, raise your question, and I'll try to answer that, and then we will move ahead. I think with this, we can start the session. Let me share my screen. Can any one of you let me know once you can see my screen so that I can start?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Is my voice clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Okay. The topic given to me is emotional intelligence. I know each of us, we all human beings have emotions attached to it. These emotions can be either we are happy, sad, angry, irritated, agitated, frustrated, very, very happy. All these emotions have some meaning, and all these emotions have some connect with our brain and our body. Some researchers say that all these things are in our mental stage. Everything is part of our brain. But what I feel based out of my study or based out of my experiences, I feel emotions are not only in your brain, it is part of your brain and your body. So there is a direct connect between your brain and your body. Let me give you one example. Suppose if you are happy, okay, if your brain says you are happy, if brain sends a signal you are happy, how will be your body? How will be your physical structure? You will be proud of yourself. You will be moving with dancing with joy, running away, running here and there with full joy. And suddenly, if you see something, okay, or if you feel tired, okay, your body structure will change, your physical appearance will change, your shoulders will fall down, and suddenly the whole scenario will change. From that happiness, you will turn into a sad person. So sometimes the signals comes from brain and the body behaves that way, and sometimes signal goes from body and the brain behaves that way. So body, the brain and your physical appearance or the physical attention is connected with each other. So we cannot just say that emotions is just our mental state. What I am trying to cover today in next 2 hours is what is emotional intelligence and how it can completely change your life. Immediately after that, I will switch on to assessment because each of us are always curious to know what is emotional intelligence. And I thought when I am connecting with teachers and most of PhD students, why not me take a step today to take the assessment, because always teachers have taken assessment for me. So I thought this is an opportunity for me to get into the assessment mode today for them. Once we do the assessment, you will get to know your EQ score, and then you can gauge yourself whether you need improvement, how much adjustment you need to improve your EQ score. After that, we will see how we can avoid getting emotionally overwhelmed in difficult situations, because we all face difficult situations. Some people react in a, each of us react in a different way. And let's see how we can avoid getting emotionally overwhelmed in such situations. After that, there will be 3 key negative thinking patterns which we always feel, and I will try to help you out on how we can overcome that. After that, next will be the techniques to overcome emotional hijack. Yes, you must be wondering what is an emotional hijack. We will cover that, and then I will touch on some techniques on how to overcome emotional hijack process. And in the last, it will be how do we switch from being reactive to responsive. It's a thin line difference between being reactive and responsive. We always feel that we respond, but unfortunately, when we sit back and analyze and when we do our self analysis, we will understand that it is more of a time we react rather than responding. And that is what all leads to the confusion and the problems and the sad part of the life. In the end, I have another assessment for you. I'm not trying to showcase it over here, because the first assessment, which is bullet number 2, that will be purely focused on self. What are you? What is Gurmeet as an individual, or what are you as an individual? Whereas the last assessment, which is at the end, it will be across various sections. What are you as an individual? How do you react when you are into relationships? with people around in your family or people in your professional life, how resilient you are, and other factors. So with this, let me move ahead. What is emotional intelligence? We all have our own definition and we define things the way it suits us. Some people say emotions are feelings. Some people say emotion is something when we feel something, it automatically comes out, it's a reaction. Some people say it is a action to give some reaction. I'm trying to put it in a simple way. Emotional intelligence allows us to become aware of the lesson, because if I am sad, I am happy, okay, when I'm in a happy mood, I don't even try to understand the lesson behind it because I'm enjoying. I don't want to get into the lesson stage or the learning stage. But when I'm into a different set of patterns or a different set of emotions, which is an unhappy side of it, either sad, irritated, agitated, angry, then it is always important for me to learn the lesson out of it. Because if I'm just having a feeling, then it is only the surface part, which, and I will never ever understand the lesson which is coming out from me. So to me, emotional intelligence is something which allows us to become aware of the lesson rather than just the surface level pain which all have. Another definition could be it's an ability to express and manage our emotions, which is very important. See, here I'm not trying to suppress our emotions. I am underlying the word manage, because we all have emotions and we are always taught in such a way that we should control our emotions, we should suppress our emotions. I feel that we should not be suppressing our emotions. The key is in managing our emotions, because if we try to suppress our emotions, trust me, it is just a question of time. You are sitting on a time bomb. Okay, sometime, and next, when next time something happens, the trigger will be such that you will blast like a bomb. So never ever suppress your emotions. Some people say we should not be crying, we should not be doing this. According to me, I think all these are emotions. And if anything makes us feel better as an individual, if I feel lighter by doing that action, I think I should do it, keeping in mind that I should not be impacting others around me. So to me, the ability to express and manage our emotions is important. And so is our ability to understand, interpret, and respond to the emotions of others. We are living in a social time zones these days. We are surrounded by people in our house, in our office, on road, wherever we go, we are surrounded by people. So it is not only important that how I control or how I manage my emotions, I need to understand, interpret, and respond to the emotions of others also, because that is very, very important, because we are living with people and we need to respect each and every one of us. Generally, what happens in this case, we try to change everyone. We feel that if I want this way, the others should also do like that. But unfortunately, that does not happen. So what is important here is we should understand, interpret, and respond to the emotions of others also. The way I as a Gurmeet expect that my emotions should be respected by others, the same way others also feel that their emotions should be respected by me too. Okay. There is some research done according to the World Economic Forum. It says that emotional quotient is ranked as one of the top 5 most important skills people will always look for in the coming days. And all successful people, you can think of all successful people in your mind, and you can realize that those people, the only thing which differentiate them from the crowd is how emotionally balanced they are. All successful people, they are very much emotionally balanced, and that is one key factor which is there for their success. And this is one important skill which is expected from everyone today. Even if you are going for a job, even if you are in family, in your relationships, everybody want you to be emotionally balanced. You can recognize these two faces. I think there is no one in the group who cannot recognize these two faces: MS Dhoni and Mother Teresa. Most of us remember these two faces not because what they have done in their own field. Okay, people may know MS Dhoni is a cricketer. Okay, he is a wicket keeper, he is a very good batsman, some people call him as a finisher. But I think these two faces will remain forever with us whenever we think of emotional part. That is the reason that MS Dhoni is tagged as Mr. Cool. So more than 90% people who are highly successful role models have a much, much better emotional intelligence level. Their score in emotional intelligence level is very, very high as compared to any average human being. So the work which we are going to do today, the session, the whole session, the message which I want to convey to you today is that even if I am able to raise, if I succeed in raising your emotional intelligence score by a few percentage or few points, I think that will be the success for the session, and that will be the biggest takeaway for all of you for your time which you are investing with me today. It's an image of an iceberg. We only see on the tip of the iceberg. We never know what is there below that. So what we are taught every time, right from our school age, to me also and to you also, and that one has to be intelligent in whatever we do. The more focus is given on the intelligent quotient, and we forget that emotional quotient is also very, very important. Because emotional quotient plays a key role. And if we have a good emotional score, I think the success is not far away from us. The IQ determines 20 to 25% of our success rate, whereas the major percentage of our success lies on the emotional quotient. It is also researched that emotionally intelligent parents raise emotionally intelligent children. So if our parents are emotionally balanced, even we, since we are taught or we have spent our life in that kind of environment, even we will be much more emotionally balanced as compared to the other people around us. The children from the emotionally intelligent parent, they become strong communicators who can develop positive relationship and manage challenges in a better way. They will never panic in stress situations. They will face stress situations, but they will never ever panic. They will have their own balance to handle such situations. Emotional intelligence, I am trying to divide it into 4 quotients. Now, what are these 4 quotients? The first one is self-awareness. Everything starts from self. And unfortunately, this is the one area where we never focus on. We have time to do research around everyone. We have time to find out good, bad about the people who are around us. But we always forget that the key to improve or the key to lead a good, happy life lies within us. So self-awareness is one important part on which we should spend more time. We should analyze where we are going wrong, what is right, where I am going right. If I'm going wrong, what is the reason behind it? Can I improve myself? How do I improve myself? Are there any techniques available to improve myself? So in this, first step is always to find out, am I wrong somewhere? And this is the question which we always avoid, because we believe that I cannot be wrong, I'm always right. But unfortunately, that is the wrong belief which we all have. The question to be asked is, have I done anything wrong anywhere? The moment I get to accept this challenge, I think the awareness about myself will increase. And once I am self-aware, then the next step, which is self-management. Self-management can happen only if I am aware about myself. If I am not aware about myself, how can I manage myself? So generally, this part is the one which people very rarely focus on. And if they focus on, they feel, no, there is nothing in me to improve on it. I am the best. So why do I improve? I think the others have to change themselves, and then only things will go improve in a better way. So this is a key factor. So the two things over here, self-awareness and self-management. If you are aware about yourself, I think managing about yourself will be the next step, and that becomes little bit easier with that. And once you are able to manage yourself, then you have the right to become people aware. Then you can understand people better, because if you know yourself better and you know how to manage yourself better, then the next step is, it becomes bit easier how to become aware of the people around you. In the family, how as an individual, how do I be aware of how my wife reacts to something, how my parents react to something, how my daughters react to something? And when I'm in my professional life, how my colleagues, the people around me, how do I try to understand them? That is possible only when I understand myself first, how I manage myself, and then only the people awareness factor can be taken care of. And this is also one of the important factor, as I said in the beginning, we live with people. We cannot live alone. So as long as we are surrounded by people, we need to be aware about them also. And once we are aware about them, then the next steps comes people management. Sad part with each of us is that we jump to this self people management part always. We never ever think of self awareness, self management, people awareness. Our focus always is on people management. We want to control everyone around us without changing ourselves. We want them to behave the way we want them to behave without changing ourselves. If they don't behave like that, the way we are expecting them, we say they are bad people. We feel unhappy with them, we feel irritated with them, and we disconnect with them. But unfortunately, that is a wrong path which we all are following. The path which needs to be followed is self awareness, move from self awareness to self management, from self management to people awareness, and from people awareness, let's go to the people management. I'm sure if you people are following this path, you are reaping benefits out of it. And if any of you is not following that path, try to follow that. Think about it, and I'm sure you will realize that once you start following it, you will reap a lot of benefits out of it. There is always a fight between IQ and EQ, because right from the childhood, the more weightage is given to the intelligent quotient. How many marks I am scoring, what am I doing in life, what subject is my strength. But EQ never got its due path or the due advantage throughout our life. EQ is something which has been started, which has come into picture of late. And where it all started, I'll just give you the brief history about the EQ or the EQ part, how it started. I think all of you can recognize this picture. Can anybody say what is this? If you can unmute and say what can you make out of this picture? As a child, we always, most of us ate this, and we used to love eating this thing.
Ice cream.
No, yeah, it's marshmallow. Thank you very much. Yes, it's marshmallows. It's a famous marshmallow theory is there for this. The reason why I showed this, because there is a famous theory behind this. Some scientists did their research. What they did, they kept marshmallows, a pieces of marshmallows, in front of some children within an age group of 4 to 10 years. And the main reason why they kept it, they wanted to see how they react on seeing the marshmallow. And before they react, they told them, either you take it one piece of marshmallow now, immediately, and if you wait, you can take two later. Now imagine if I like something, I will not be satisfied with one piece of that. I would like to have more than one piece of it. But the rule which was defined for this particular research was either you take one piece now or take two later. Imagine your favorite thing lying in front of you. How are you going to react? How your body is going to react? What messages you are going to get from your brain? How are you going to control that? Because if you control your emotions, or if you control or you stop yourself from taking one piece now, you might end up taking two, or you might get even more than two. So these were the reactions. These were the emotions which came on the faces of the student kids. Somebody was very happy. Now this guy in the right side bottom, he's surprised. He's still thinking whether he should take one piece or go for two pieces if he can wait. One is very happy, one is sad when he heard the rule. So everybody is depicting a different set of emotions, different set of feelings on their face. Now what happened? When the scientists were doing this research, they came across that some kids, they immediately took one piece and ran away. Some sat for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, waited for it, and then they lost their patience. They picked up and then they ran away. And whoever was there in the end, very few, they got two pieces or more than two pieces. These scientists did not stop there. They followed them up till the time these kids became adult. They watched their each and every activity very closely, and they realized that the kids who controlled their emotions at that time or controlled their willpower at that time, they really became very successful in their future, as compared to the kids who immediately gave into their and grabbed one piece and ran away from there. So what is the lessons out of this marshmallows theory is this: self-control, self-discipline, patience, and resilience is key to success. If we have all that, if we trust the process, I think effort will pay off. So those who controlled their emotions, those who control their urge of picking up the marshmallow in the beginning, have a better career or had a better career, and they were more successful as compared to their buddies who were around them. This theory and some knowledge or some background about emotional intelligence, I'm moving on to the assessment part. Yes, I know we all don't like assessments because we have gone through that in our all school, college lives. But this assessment is not to for you to score marks and see whether you have got 80%, 90%. This assessment is purely going to help you to where do you stand today with regard to your emotional quotient. Let me tell you in the beginning only, there is nothing like a low, good, bad score. Each one of us have our own feelings, emotions, and based on that, this score comes, and each score has a different meaning. Into the assessment, can I assume that you all have a paper and pen with you? Is no answer as yes?
Yes, sir, we are having.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. This is a challenge in this video sessions because I can't see you all. So if in between anybody of you can unmute, please do not worry about that, whether it will add lot of sound and all. No, the more dialogue we will have, the more beneficial the session will be. So in between, whenever I'm asking any question, anybody can unmute and answer that. So if I'm assuming you have the paper and pen with you, so I'm moving on with the assessment. You will see 10 statements on the screen one by one. Against each statement, just put either 1, 2, 3, or 4. One of the number you can put in each of the statements. It will be either 1, 2, 3, or 4. And when you see the question on your screen, you have to ask yourself, is this statement true for me? You have to ask yourself, is this statement true for me? And if you get an answer rarely, put 1. If you get an answer sometimes, put 2. If you get an answer often, put 3. And if you get an answer almost always, you can put 4. I'll repeat, you will see 10 statements on your screen one by one. You have to rate those statements as 1, 2, 3, or 4. While rating, you have to ask yourself one question, is this statement true for me? What answer you get in your brain based on that basis. Rate 1 if it is rarely, rate 2 if it is sometimes, rate 3 if often, rate 4 almost always. So with this, I move on to statement number 1. I do not become defensive when criticized. Ask yourself, is this statement true for me? I do not become defensive when criticized. Based on the answer which your brain is giving you, based on the answer which your inner conscious is giving you, you can rate this question as either 1, 2, 3, or 4. Statement number 2, I can stay calm under pressure. I can stay calm under pressure. Gurmeet, is this statement true for me? I can stay calm under pressure. For me, it is sometimes. Into statement number 3, I handle setback effectively. Statement number 3, I handle setback effectively. Statement number 4, I recognize how my behavior affects others. I recognize how my behavior affects others. Statement number 5, I can listen without jumping to judgment. I can listen without jumping to judgment. So with this, I have completed 5 statements. If any of you have missed it, it is there on your screen and I will say it out loud again. I do not become defensive when criticized. Statement number 2, I can stay calm under pressure. Statement number 3, I handle setback effectively. Statement number 4, I recognize how my behavior affects others. Statement number 5, I can listen without jumping to judgment. Before I move on to the statement number 6, I can hear some sound in the background. So somebody has unmuted, but if there is no question or nothing to add on to it, I request if you can mute yourself. Thank you very much. Moving to statement number 6. I can freely admit to making a mistake. Is this statement true for me? I can freely admit to making a mistake. Statement number 7. I know how to calm myself down when I feel anxious or upset. Statement number 7. I know how to calm myself down when I feel anxious or upset. Statement number 8. I know my strengths and weaknesses. Statement number 8. I know my strengths and weaknesses. Statement number 9. I manage anxiety, stress, anger, and fear.
Gurmeet, your questions are not visible on the screen. I am just able to see 6 questions, not after that.
Is this the problem faced by everyone, or what about others?
No, no, we are able to see it, sir.
No, sir, we haven't.
We haven't.
Only 6
We are
questions.
able to see up to 9.
Okay, so I think the person who is not able to see beyond 6, I think there is some issue at the internet on their side.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah, thanks.
Fine. Okay, thank you. So question number 9 was, I manage anxiety, stress, anger, and fear in pursuit of a goal. Moving on to the last statement, I try to see things from another's perspective. I try to see things from another's perspective. So with this, I end with my 10 statements. If any of you have missed out, the last 5 statements are visible on the screen. And if you have rated yourself for each statement, either 1, 2, 3, or 4, I request each of you to total that score. Total your score against each of these statements. So minimum you should be getting score as 10 and maximum you should be getting as 40. And if you are getting anything other than 10 and 40, then you have done something wrong. You need to revisit your answers. Fine. Now, if your score is between 10 to 18, I'm sure there will be many between the score of 10 to 18, because at least this was my score when I started doing research or
18, sir, score is 18.
Sorry?
Score is 18.
Yeah, so you are between 10 to 18. So 18 is in this range. So that indicates it's a low range on emotional intelligence. And I said in the beginning, low, medium, high doesn't make any difference. Don't think that it is a bad score or a not or you need to do a lot of things. It just depicts who you are as an individual, and you need to understand whether you need any improvement in yourself or not. So 10 to 18 is a low range on emotional intelligence. And what does it mean actually? We are not talking about numbers here, okay? We are not here to give you a result, okay, you have passed or failed. We need to see what each number indicates. What is the meaning of each number? So if your score is between 10 to 18, it tells you that you may find yourself becoming overwhelmed by your emotions, especially in stressful situations, or you may avoid conflict because you think that you will find it distressing. The people in this particular range of score 10 to 18, they are very easily carried away with their emotions. Anything happens, either good, bad, sad, happiness, they immediately react. They immediately flow with that emotion. There is nothing good and bad about it, but still you need to understand, if you do that, what is the impact it is having on you as an individual or the people around you. It is also likely that when such situations happen, you find it hard to calm down after you have felt upset. And this gives you, if this triggers your emotional imbalance, then you start behaving in one specific pattern. Whenever such situations happen, you follow one pattern. Now, for me, whenever I get angry, okay, some people in anger, they start bashing others. Some people start shouting. Some people start, everybody has their own way to react when they are angry. Same way, each of us have our own way to react when we are angry or when we are happy. Some people, when they are happy, they laugh aloud. Some people, when they are happy, they just smile. Some people like me, when I am happy, I start dancing with joy. So each of us have our emotions and the way we react to it. But yes, the people with this kind of a range, they need to work a little bit to improve on their score to become more balanced emotionally. Then there will be one set of people who will have score between 19 to 28. We call this as a medium range on emotional intelligence. And most important is, what does it mean? It means that you are usually able to maintain your emotional balance. However, there are times when you may get triggered and then react out of your less effective default behavior. Now, default behavior patterns are which we do it on a regular basis. which we do by default. If this happens, I will react this way. If this happens, I will react this way. So that is named as a default behavior pattern. Now, if you can learn to be more aware of when your emotions are driving your behavior, you can stay calm in high pressure moments. So this set of people, they are little bit emotionally balanced as compared to the earlier set of people. But yes, even they need to work on it. There will be some areas where even they can improve. And then finally, we get into a range of 29 to 40, which we call it as a high range on emotional intelligence. I'm sure many of the people who got into a low range must be feeling that they need to do a lot of work. No, it's not that way. You just have to analyze yourself and then understand which is the area where you need to work. And on the other hand, I'm very happy the people who are there, I'm sure the people who are there in the range of 29 to 40 must be feeling very proud of themselves with the ekdam proud chest. Yeah, I am already emotionally intelligent. I am very high on emotional intelligence and I don't need to do anything. Unfortunately, that is not the right thinking. See, the people who have such a high range, you know what they do? They don't want to get into any kind of distress situations. Okay, though their emotional score is very, very high, they feel that they are emotionally intelligent, very, very emotionally intelligent, but they face a challenge. They give away with their own needs. Okay, they give away what they want. They are always living for other people. So in doing that process, what they are doing, they are keeping their emotional intelligence score as very high, but unfortunately, they give away on what is their own life. They don't do justice to that. They are always thinking about people around them, their families, in the official part, or whenever they are into the social circles, they are more worried about those people, and hence their score is too high. But they have to think whether this score is high. Is there any area of improvement? Now, area of improvement here could be, yes, in some stages or in some part of life, you need to be self-aware. You should not be doing injustice to yourself. So you need to keep that part also in mind while you are judging yourself on any of these ranges. You can have, I'm sure you will have some questions on this. Please keep it parked for the time being. Make a note of your questions on the paper which you have, and I'll try to address mostly all the questions by end of the session. The bigger question comes in now. What triggers emotions? What happens when we get emotionally overwhelmed? What is it which triggers happiness to me? What is it which triggers anger to me? What is it which makes me sad? What is it which makes me irritated? What is it which makes me agitated? Just imagine when you are going through such emotions, this is how you look like. We never ever realize how do we look like at that time. So if any of you have never observed yourself in front of a mirror when you are going through these emotions, you can check out these images. They will tell you how do you look like when you are going through such emotional stages, when you are reacting with emotions. So bigger question now is what triggers the emotions? We all human beings have needs, and they are at the core of all emotions. Now you people must be wondering, yes, we all have needs, but what has needs have to do with the emotions? Why do needs have to trigger emotions? The answer here is needs trigger emotions only when they are not met. As long as our needs are met, we are fine. But the moment our needs are not met, our emotions are triggered, and then we start in a different behavior. We get into a completely different track altogether. Could be in a very good consequences, or maybe we'll end up in some very bad consequences out of it. So we all human beings have needs, and when they are not met, they trigger our emotions, and then we follow some patterns. Our behavior changes. We behave in a completely different way. Some people may like it, some people may not like it. We might have a positive consequences out of it. We might have negative consequences out of it. But each thing can be controlled in a much better way. There are 5 core emotional needs which are required for emotional well-being, and we all human beings, I'm sure you will agree to that. You may have different needs other than this, but these 5 are still the core needs, and everything is around these core emotional needs. Moving to need number 1. Hello, somebody has unmuted. Any questions? Thank you. Need number 1. It's a need for security and certainty. We all want security, right? I don't think anyone in your group will be there who doesn't want to be secured or who doesn't want to be always certain. We are tired of being insecure and uncertainties from the last 2 years almost. Okay, so the basic need which we all human beings we have, we always pray for this, that I need security and certainty. And when this particular need is not met, what is the result out of it? We become fearful, we feel insecure. And when we feel become fearful, we feel insecure, some emotion triggers into us and we start behaving in a completely different way altogether. Moving on to need number 2, need for variety, new experiences, excitement. There is one set of people who get bored by routine work very easily. They will do some activity for 10-15 days and then they find they want something new, they want something different, they want something different every day. They cannot just go on with the routine work. And when this kind of need is not met, what happens? They feel bored out of it and they feel lonely out of it, because they cannot gel well with others, because they know they are doing the routine work and then they start feeling bored, and then they disconnect with others and get into a loneliness mode. Need number 3, need for achievement and significance. Each of us want to achieve something in our life. Each of us wants to do something significant in our life so that we are remembered when we are not here. And when we feel that we are not able to do this, when we feel that this need of achievement and significance is not met, this leads to loss of self-esteem, inferiority complex, and sometimes it puts into a sense of failure in us. We start blaming ourselves that whatever I'm doing is not great. I'm not doing something good, something big to achieve or to have a significance in life. Need number 4. It's related with love and connection. We all need love. We all need to be connected with others. We want others to connect with us. We want others to love us. And when this need is not met, I don't have to give more details about this need because this is self-explanatory. And when this is not met, it leads to depression and it makes us feel very disconnected. Depression is the buzzword in last 2 years. On Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you go, I think this is one word which is doing the rounds, with all counselors coming into picture, counseling available if you're feeling depressed, counseling available if you are feeling this, that, and all that. I would suggest, yes, counseling helps, but that should be the last option you should have. You can control yourself in a much better way rather than going to any counselor. With due respect to counselors, I'm not saying that they are not doing the right work, because even I do counseling for others, I take sessions. But still, even though being a counselor, I would suggest that if you can control your emotions in a much better way, if you are aware of yourself where you are going wrong, you do not have to go to the counselor. Counselor is a third party person who doesn't even know about you. Nobody can know you much better than anybody you yourself. Nobody can know you better than knowing yourself. So first try that, and if you do not succeed in it, then only go for the counseling part. Need number 5, which is a need for growth and contribution. We all want to grow professionally. We all want to contribute for our family. We all want to contribute socially. We all want to do a lot of things. And when we are not able to do this, we feel that we have no purpose in our life and we are not leading a meaningful life. Am I wasting my life if by not doing all these things? So many questions start coming up in our mind, and that leads to so many emotional setbacks, and our behavior changes. We go into a completely different track altogether. So summarizing it, if anybody has missed it, we have 5 core needs. On the side, left side, you have the needs, and on the right side, you have a result. If that need is not met, then what happens? Just repeating it for the audience who has missed it. If you have a need for security and uncertainty, if that is not met, it leads to fear and insecurity. If your need for variety, new experiences, excitement is not met, you feel bored and lonely. If your need for love and connection is not met, you feel depressed and disconnected. And the last, if your need for growth and contribution is not met, you feel no sense of purpose. You feel that you are not leading a meaningful life. After doing all these things, we have already done one assessment. I want each of you to ask yourself, this is not to answer to anybody. We are talking about self-awareness right from the beginning. And when we are talking about self-awareness, it's not that we need to share this with anybody else. We need to just keep on asking ourselves, where am I? What am I doing? So after this particular point, I have few questions for you, which you can ask yourself. What is your strongest need out of these 5? Right? We all need all these things, but there will be one need which is strongest out of these 5. You can ask yourself, which need triggers most reactions out of you? Which need triggers most reactions out of you? Now, if you are asking me, I get bored by routine work very fast. So I need lot of variety in that. I need to do daily something different. And if that need is not met, I get some trigger. I feel, no, I need to do something different. I start panicking. Ask your question, one more question to yourself. How do you tend to react when you are triggered? There is a tendency, right? When we are triggered for whatever reasons or for whatever others do, we react. You ask yourself, how do you tend to react when triggered? If you have an answers to these 3 questions, then the next steps will become easy. That how do you manage all these things in a right or in a much better way? I would like to talk about the negative cycles of emotions, because positive cycles of emotions, nobody wants to talk, because that always leads to good roles only. So the focus here will be on the negative cycles of emotions. Now, what happens, as we spoke about needs, when our needs are not met, when we have unmet needs in our mind or in our life, this trigger intense emotions between us. And when emotions are triggers, what happens? There are some mental blocks which are there, which comes into picture. I have used the word mental filters here. We are living in a digital world. We all have smartphones today. We all are crazy about taking selfies, and then we add on to many filters on those selfies. Correct? We all of us do it. Either sometimes we want to do it, or sometimes we feel it's a competition, let me also do it. So we apply a lot of filters before posting any of our selfies. So same way, those filters are there in the camera or in your phone. There are some filters which are there in our mind also, which I am putting it as a mental filters. For more clarity, I'm just diversifying now to the mental filters, and then we will come back to this negative cycle of emotions. What are mental filters? Mental filters, if I have to put it in a simple language, is something which we talk to ourselves. We don't talk to anybody. It's I see we do talking with everyone, okay, but sometimes we do a lot of inner chattering also. These are called mental filters, because whenever we are confused, whenever we are emotionally triggered, we start asking some questions, some language which we use. We don't ask others, but it's going on in our brain. So the filters which I am talking, or which I'm going to cover in this particular session today, is filter number 1, which is should. Most of us are stuck with this kind of filter. Whenever any situation happens, we ask ourselves, it should have been this way, it should not have been this way, it must have been in that way, it must have been in this way, ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था, वैसा होना चाहिए था, why this, why that. So we get trapped into that filter, and then we start analyzing on how we have to react to that particular emotion which has come into us. Next filter which we apply to our emotions or any situation in our life is, we take everything as personal. Whatever happens around us, we have to take it to us. Why with me? Why only me? ये मेरे साथ ही हमेशा क्यों होता है? मैंने ऐसा क्या कर दिया कि ये मेरे साथ ऐसा हो रहा है? We get into that trap without even realizing. Sometimes we don't even have to do anything with this. We are going on a road and we see some accident. Okay, fine, there is an accident. This is not good for that particular person or a people who are got impacted by that accident. Sometimes we start asking ourselves, whenever I come out, accidents happens. There are some people, I have people in my network who feels that way. Yeah, whenever I drive, accident happen on the road. Boss, you have nothing to do with that. Why are you taking everything, every blame on yourself? So there is one category of people who takes everything personal. And what happens when they start behaving like this, they connect everything to their self-esteem, and they feel threatened and they get defensive. And in that particular mode, their reactions to every situation changes. Mental filter number 3. 90% of people are trapped by this. I have 10 good things in my life, but if one thing does not go the way I want it, I will ignore all those 10 good things, and I will be focusing only on this thing which has not gone right. Everything is there in life, but if I don't have one thing, my focus purely goes on to this till the time that thing is resolved. So what happens in this complete process, the 10 good things which God has given me or which I have, I do not even enjoy that because my focus is on something which is missing from my life. And while chasing that missing part in my life, I do not even enjoy what is there in with me. So these three filters we have put in, and each filter has its own meaning. And when we are surrounded, when we get any external experience which hits our brain, so based on our filters, we start reacting. Coming back to the negative cycle of emotions, we started with unmet needs, then we get into intense emotions. We are still feeling the emotions, and then we start putting filters around it, the three filters which I spoke. And when we do that, we react out of these emotions and filters. And this kind of reaction is always leading to negative consequences. I will take a pause here. Just think yourself, in the past, if you have reacted either because of anger, either with your spouse or with the people around you or anybody in the office, your colleagues, your subordinates, anybody, did you feel this kind of reactions? Did you experience this complete cycle? I'm sure most of you people will have an answer as yes, because we all go through this. We all are part of this complete cycle. When we react because our needs are not met, our unmet needs take us to some intense emotions, and then we add on some filters to those emotions, and then we react out of it, and then finally this leads to negative consequences, which we realize it maybe after an hour, after a few hours, or maybe on a next day. And then we are thinking that day when I behaved like this, I should have done this. Why did I do this? Then that regret start coming, and then we get into a complete cycle of depression, because even that is not good. Okay, yes, you did that thing. If you think that you are regretting now, fine, don't repeat this in future, but don't just keep talking about that to yourself. Then by doing that, you are doing injustice to yourself. You will not learn a lesson out of it, but you will damage yourself more. Moving on to the next part. Here I'm just trying to explain how our brain actually works. I am not a medical student, so I will not go into a greater details of it. But yes, a basic knowledge or understanding is required for each of us. We are always triggered by something externally, which is not in our control. Okay, anything can happen. And we have a brain just above our neck, which is called as a reactive brain. Then there is something called emotional brain, which in medical term is called amygdala. I have tried many times to pronounce this word properly because my daughter is a doctor. So whenever I pronounce this in a wrong way, she corrects me, but I still end up pronouncing it in a wrong way most of the times. And then we have a thinking brain, which is called as an intelligent brain. Okay, this emotional brain is, if you see, God has also put it in such a way, this emotional brain is in the middle of the thinking brain and the reactive brain. Now, emotional brain pushes signal everywhere. It gives the signals to thinking brain also, it gives the signals to reactive brain also. Now, how strong is our thinking brain or how strong is our reactive brain, that varies from individual to individual based on the circumstances, based on the environment in which we live, and based on this external trigger which we are having, or based on the belief system which we have already built into ourselves. So this way, when the emotional brain gives a trigger, so either I will react or I will think in a right way and then I will take the next step. But if my reactive brain is overtaken, then what happens? I get into a stage which is called as an emotional hijack. Whenever my reactive brain is stronger as compared to my thinking brain because of the emotional brain, I get into an emotional hijack situation. And this is a stage when an individual's thinking is completely overpowered by emotions. I'm again taking a pause here. Ask yourself, whenever you have got into any of such situations, I'm sure your body, your brain gives you a slight signal where body or the brain is trying to tell you to be alert. It is giving you a signal, then don't react. But unfortunately, this badmash emotional brain is such a killer. It overtakes our thinking brain and the reactive brain, and then we get into an emotional hijack, and then we get into a completely more of an disturbing area where we spoil everything which is going all good for us. Giving you some example when this happened. When you are driving, if somebody overtakes you, or if somebody is driving slow in front of you, how many of you react at that time? I used to react. I used to get irritated, and my face used to be the same with the way this lady is showcasing. What happens when we cannot manage our emotion and someone cuts in front of us on a busy road? Our feeling brain literally explodes with indignation. We feel irritated with the people who overtakes us, and we feel irritated with the people who are driving slow and not letting us overtake also. So what kind of thoughts come into our mind at that time? Just see. Thinking brain is thinking, oh, well, no harm done. He might have some emergency. Not everyone is thoughtful and kind. Maybe he has his own problems. None of us is perfect. I have also done this in past. This is what my thinking brain is saying, putting all intelligent questions in my mind. But my emotional mind is telling me, oh my God, he's going to kill someone. How rude of him. He's very selfish. And then those beep words, which I never wanted to put over here, most of us use those beep words also while driving. So we get into that trap. Another scenario. Imagine a wife has gone out for a shopping a day and husband is at home. Wife told him that she'll be back in 1 hour time. But unfortunately, because of some reason, she cannot come back home at a right time. Now husband is panicking. Okay, now in husband's mind, again, there are two things which are going on. One is the thinking brain, which says perhaps she is having trouble getting a cab, or she might have lost track of time. Anyways, she never goes regularly to a market today. If she has gone, so let her enjoy. I'm sure she will be home soon. But our feeling brain, which is more of an emotional brain, that triggers us. Where is she? Is she with somebody else? Has she met someone else? I think she doesn't even love me. She doesn't even care about me. So we start thinking into that pattern. And when that wife is back, just imagine what kind of scenario will be there in that house. Now, this is possible with wives and husbands both. I'm just giving you examples. It can be with anybody, any one of us. So we need to control our feeling brain in such a way that, okay, we need to have a control our emotions. So the lesson out of whole theory is we need to turn off our mental filters to avoid emotional hijack and then open up to life. If we can do this, then only we can enjoy our life. Otherwise, rest assured, whatever you do, how much ever study you do, how much ever courses you do, and even if you are attending my session, but you are just attending it, but your brain is closed, you have put in some filters in your mind thinking ki okay, ek banda aaya hai, he'll just give some gyan and go away. I have to attend this session for 2 hours, either mandatory or some reasons. Fine. You are still putting on some filters on your mind, and by doing that, you will be at loss. Because I am here doing this session for 70, 80 plus, okay. But each of you is important to yourself, and to me, each one of you is important. So cut off all these filters which are there in your brain because they have no meaning. Having filters in your camera still add value to your face, still beautify the way you look. But these mental filters are not adding any value to you and your life. The faster you can get rid of these mental filters, the better the life will be for you. I hope you all are with me so far.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now, the bigger question for which I think most of us wait. Too much of theory. Do this, do that, this happens. But is it some magic with which I can control my emotional hijack? No, I'm not a magician. I can give you some tricks, some tips. You have to pick up those tricks and tips and then implement it in your life. You have to see how effectively you can use them. And that is the reason I am not going to talk only about one tip or one trick here. I am covering 3 techniques. So the one which you feel is good for you, the one which you feel is easy for you to implement, please go ahead and do it. And for your ease of remembrance, I have given them very easy names. I'm calling it as a rain technique. I'm calling it as a stop technique, and I'm calling it as a palm technique. Easy to remember, Very easy words: rain, stop, palm. Give you more theory about it. You can apply whichever is suitable to you. First, I will be talking about this rain technique. Now, rain technique is something in which you use to study your thoughts as you practice mindfulness. Mindfulness is new buzzword these days. Think before you do something. Think before you do something. Be mindful about what you do. I know it is not that easy, but practicing mindfulness, see, whatever we do today was also not easy when we did it for the first time, right? We practiced that multiple times and now it has become very easy for us. Same way, mindfulness is a bit difficult, but with proper regular practice, it becomes very easy. The steps are easy to remember and you can find it difficult to apply at first sight. Now, what is RAIN technique? Recognize. R is for recognize. A is for allow. I is for investigate. And N is for natural awareness. RAIN, RAIN, recognize, allow, investigate, natural awareness. Recognize the behavior, recognize your thoughts which are giving you some trigger. If you can do that, you are there on the first step. Allow your thoughts to settle down. See, right from the beginning, I never say that ki get rid of your emotions. I'm always saying that ki don't suppress your emotions. We all are human beings and suppressing emotion is not good for us. Allow your emotions to settle down. Settle down is the right word. Investigate. Think what has happened. What is it triggering in yourself? How are you planning to react? And then once you do this RAI on a regular basis, this N becomes a regular practice for you, which is natural awareness. So if you do RAI on a regular basis, next time if that same trigger comes in your mind, you will be naturally aware of yourself. You don't have to think of RAI, it will follow an automatic path. And you are on a path of being very, very mindful when you are being triggered because of external triggers. Some more details on it. The first task is to recognize the emotion itself. It's not going to be that easy because we feel that whenever something is going on, I don't have that much time. I have to react immediately. But 9 out of the 10 situations, if you think back, wherever in past you have got a trigger because of something, I think you always got a chance to disconnect from that. But unfortunately, we feel no, we have to react immediately. There is no situation which demands immediate reaction. Okay, there is a fire in the building. Yes, you have to react. Then you cannot think what is to be done. If there is a do or die situation, reaction is important. Other than those situations, I think we can always respond, and that is always going to help you out. So recognize the emotion first. That will help you to win the battle. At least that will be beginning to move ahead on that journey of mindfulness. Then allow your emotions to settle down. I will repeat again. This is fourth time I saying never ever suppress your emotions. That is a wrong way to handle your emotions. When you suppress anything, rest assured someday and very soon that will get trigger again and you will blast off. So you should never suppress your emotions. Allow your emotions to settle down because that will give you a better understanding on how to take the next step. And when you have allowed them to settle down, now you can spend some time investigating. What is it? What has, if I could have done this, was it beneficial for going to be beneficial for me? Or if I have done this plan A, plan B, plan C, what is it that I could have done it so that the consequences could have been in a better way? So you have to keep thinking on this. So you have to be on RAI, and then you come to natural awareness. And when you practice this RAI on a regular basis, I assure you, I have practiced this and I'm still practicing. I'm not saying that I have achieved 100% of it, but yes, I am on this journey and I have walked a long path. I see a lot of change in myself. And this is going to see, I'm not doing this all for the benefit of others. I am doing this for a peaceful life, which I really want to live. I don't want it to be on a triggered way every day. Everything happens outside, which is not in my control, and I'm getting triggered, and it's not at all my gain. I'm damaging more of myself. So follow this RAIN technique. Rest assured, you will have a lot of advantages out of it. Next one is stop. Very easy. See, the reason why I have used this so that you can remember easy. S is to stop. Simply pause. Again, I'm telling you, if at all you had a fight with anybody in last few days or few weeks or few months, just think. I am sure you will realize that your body has given you some signal that something is going to go wrong. Pause. But unfortunately, we ignore that. If you can catch hold of that simple pause signal which you are getting from your body, trust me, you will not react, you will respond. See, by reacting, I'm not saying that what you were supposed to do, you might end up doing the same thing. But now, when you do, see, I wanted to get angry on in one scenario. I gave myself a time to think, but again, I got angry. But after thinking, if I'm getting angry, that is assuring me, yes, I have given a proper thought process to this reaction or this respond of mine, and that is why I am doing it in this way. So whatever consequences will be out of it, I will not have to regret or repent out of it, because I know this action was taken after a lot of thinking. So stop, simply pause, take few deep breaths, observe your thoughts, and then proceed in a different direction. This is what we do on road also. If you have taken a wrong road, okay, what we do? When the moment we realize, we pause. Okay, we just keep, when I say take deep breaths, what I'm trying to say is just think on it. And when we think on this, we think that yes, we realize that I have come into a wrong direction. I have what is the next step you have to do? You have to change your direction. It's very simple technique. And many of my students who have attended my sessions in the past, they found this to be much more effective because it's easy to implement and easy to remember. So they started off with stop technique and then they went into the rain technique, because rain technique, when you say natural awareness, N of rain, that is taking you to the mindfulness journey. Last is palm. We all know what a palm is. We all have palms. Palm is P is for physical association, A for attention, L for language, M for meaning. Now, what happens whenever we are into any trigger or whenever we are into any not so good situation, we try to physically associate ourselves. When I say physically associate ourselves, we take all that emotions and try to make it impact our body also. It's if an angry situation, our face is in a different direction, our fist tightens, and it impacts our internal body organs also. So first part here is do not physically associate yourself with any of these problems. Do not physically associate yourself with these problems. Next part is attention. The more attention you give to these things, the more problems you will face. I have one short story here to tell you. Imagine you are sitting at home. Okay, you are watching TV sitting on your couch. Somebody calls you by name from another room or from outside, and you immediately get up to open the door or go to the next room from where that voice is coming. And you end up hitting a dining table or a corner of a sofa or a corner of a couch. What happens? You will immediately sit there and you will be purely focusing on your pain. You will forget somebody has called you. Now your whole focus will be on that particular pain. Am I right? Most of us will do that. Do you agree with me on this?
Yes.
Correct. Now I'm giving you another scenario. You are attending one function. Okay. You are attending one function. You are sitting on a chair in the crowd, and suddenly on a stage, your name is announced for some award. You feel very happy because your name is announced. You were not expecting that. Now your name is announced for your award. You leave your chair and you hit the corner of the next chair or the chair in front of you or a table on the way. And you are hurt again. And this time the pain is more severe as compared to the pain which you got it at your home. Tell me, will you focus on your pain or will you be focusing on the stage where you have to reach to take that award? Where will be your focus, on the pain or on the award?
On
I
the
think
award.
On the
Award.
award, sir.
On the award.
you are a same person. You are a same person, same kind of pain, but now your attention is not on the pain. Your attention is on the award. So that is why they say energy flows where the focus goes. So you need to put your energy on all the good things which you can do. You have to focus on all those things and your energy will automatically go there. Third word is L for language. Today, what happens when anything goes wrong with us? What is the question which we ask? Why is it happening with me? Why me? Why me? Why me? And we are lost in that why me. And trust me, we will never get an answer out of it. So what I am saying here with the word language is, rather than asking why me, why this is happening to me, can I change my language of the question? Can I ask myself, what should I do to get out of this? Basically, the target is, okay, that thing has happened to me. Now the target is, how do I come out of it? Now, if I keep thinking why this has happened to me, why always me, what did I do wrong to have this done to me? So I will be always stuck into that and I will never get a solution. So you have to change the language of the questions which are there in your mind. You have to ask yourself, okay, this is done. What should I do to come out of it? What should I do so that next time this is not happening with me? So you have to ask yourself, it's such an empowering questions. And when you start doing this, the meaning of the problem will completely change for you. And once the meaning changes, everything around the problem changes. So most of the problems, we all have problems. It's not that I don't have problems or nobody has, or everyone is happy. It's not that way. The technique is in handling those problems, how resilient you are in handling those problems. Because if your resilience power is good, or if you're emotionally you are balanced, you will be in a position to face those challenges. You will be in a position to face those problems in a much better and effective way. So what are the three different techniques I had said? Can anybody repeat?
It's rain, stop, and palm.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now I am feeling that after spending last more than one hour, we are a bit of an emotional intelligent now, or there is an improvement in this score. So when we say that we are emotional intelligent, then what happens in this situation? The external event will still remain the same, correct? But what is the change now? I will be there. I'll be more aware of my emotions, and I'll be aware of the filters also which are there in my mind. Because earlier I never knew that there are three kind of filters which are there in my mind. But in last 15-20 minutes, I have realized that yes, there are filters in my brain which are playing the key role. So I'm aware about it. And the moment I am aware about it, I have three techniques: rain, stop, and palm to use. And when I use any of these three techniques slowly and steadily, do not expect a change overnight. That is not going to happen. Give yourself time. See, you are what you are today because of the last 25, 30, 40 years which you have spent in the same environment or in the same consequences. So the change or the coming out of it is not going to happen overnight. But yes, it will happen. You just have to take the first step. You have to tell yourself, yes, I want to change. I want to change for a better life. I want to change for a happy life. I want to change so that everybody else around me remains happy. I'm not saying that you become a happiness toy for them. No, you have to change your action. If your actions are giving them unhappiness and you think, yes, what you have done is wrong, then you have to change your actions to keep everybody happy. And when you do all these things, you will not be reacting. What you will be doing, you will be responding to the situations. So when you do all these things, the reactions which were leading to distressful situations will not happen or will be reduced, because now you are not reacting, you are responding to the situations. With this, I come to another assessment, and I'm sure most of you will love this. If you have liked the first assessment, you will surely like this one also. The difference in this assessment and the earlier one is, first one was pure self-analysis, and whereas this is going to touch 5 different parameters, which I am not going to announce now. That will be my last slide, which will tell you what are those 5 parameters on which this assessment is going to go. Are you ready for this assessment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your paper and pen has to be ready with you. In this also, earlier also, there were 10 questions which were coming to your screen one by one. In this, it's a longer question now. It's a final exam. That was a unit test. So it's a final exam with the whole syllabus. So you will have 30 statements on the screen. Each statement will come one by one. Earlier you had the score to give 1, 2, 3, 4. Now another score is given, another grade is added to it, which is 5. So against each statement, you put either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. When you see a statement, ask yourself, is this statement true for me? The same way which we did the earlier one. If your answer is rarely like me, give score as 1. Occasionally like me, give score as 2. Sometimes like me, give score as 3. Often like me, give a score of 4. Almost always like me, give a score of 5. I'm sure there will be some people who will get confused between 2, 3, and 4. Occasionally, sometimes, often. Point number scoring 1 and 5 is very clear, which is rarely like me. बहुत कम होता है. 5 is almost every time it happens like me. Second and third, fourth में, you have to ask yourself. Second is very little like me. Third is more as compared to number 2. And fourth is again more as compared to 2 and 3. So you need to understand the difference between that and then rate it. Before you start, create a table on your paper. Divide your table in 5 columns, column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The numbers from 1 to 30, put that. See, what I'm trying to say here is your question number 1 should be under column 1. Answer to question number 1 should be under column 1. Answer to question number 2 should be under column 2. Question number 3, 8, 13 should be under column 3. Then same way column 4 and column 5. Why I am dividing this in different, categorizing this in different columns? Because each column, column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has a different meaning, which I will reveal at the end of the assessment. Is this process clear? Anybody who is still confused with the process can unmute so that I can answer again. Anybody who is not clear can unmute. Fantastic.
The column thing, can you repeat?
See, you can draw this picture on your paper. Okay. See, when I ask you question number 1, your answer to the question number 1, which can be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, has to be under column 1. Question number 2, put the answer of that question under column 2. Did I answer your question, or still there is a confusion? If there is a confusion, please let me know, because if you are confused, then the whole assessment will go wrong. Are we clear on this? Anybody
Yes,
who
sir.
still clear? Okay. Anybody who still has a doubt, please let me know. I can pause for a minute, but you need to understand this assessment process clearly. Otherwise, that assessment will have no meaning. Fantastic. Thank you very much. So with this, I'm moving on to the questions. For each question, you have to give yourself a score of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have to follow this table. You have to follow this table. Please keep this copy, draw this table on your paper. Okay. Question 1. I know the situations and people that are likely to make me angry. I know the situations and or people that are likely to make me angry. You are asking this question to yourself. Question number 2. When I have completed a difficult action, I make sure to appreciate my work. Ask yourself, the way I am asking myself, Gurmeet, when I complete a difficult action, I make sure to appreciate my work. Do you do this rarely, occasionally, sometimes, often, almost always? Ask yourself this question. Question number 3. When writing a message or email, I consider how the person receiving it will feel. I'm asking myself a question. When writing a message or email, how the person on the other side who is receiving will feel. Question number 4. I always give credit publicly to those who help me. I always give credit publicly to those who help me. Question number 5. When things go wrong or I am disappointed in an outcome, I am still optimistic about better outcomes. Longer question. When things go wrong or I am disappointed in any outcome, I still be optimistic about better outcomes. So these are the first 5 questions. Okay. I think somebody has unmuted it, so I'm able to, and that person is on speaker, so I'm able to hear my own sound. Can you put yourself on mute, please? Thank you. Moving on to question number 6. When I get angry or frustrated, I am able to discover the cause. When I am angry or frustrated, I am able to discover the cause. 7. When I get angry or frustrated, I remain composed in my behaviors. When I get angry or frustrated, I remain composed in my behaviors. Very difficult for all of us. Very, very difficult. Question number 8. I am able to recognize when others are nervous around me. I am able to recognize when others are nervous around me. Question number 9. I am open to thoughts and suggestions of others, even if they disagree with me. I am open to thoughts and suggestions of others, even if they disagree with me. Going to question number 10. I view problems as challenges to resolve. I view problems as challenges to resolve. I have covered first 10 questions. If by any chance any of you have missed any of the questions, do let me know. I can go back to the screen.
Sir,
Fine.
10th question not visible, sir.
Which question?
10th one.
I will read it out. I'm not too sure why it is not visible to you. Is it not visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
It's not visible?
It's visible, sir.
Now it's visible, sir. Now it's visible.
Maybe the internet is slow. Please bear with me. Okay, I will read the 10th question. I view problems as challenges to resolve. Fine. So we are done with first 10 questions. Moving on to question number 11. I realize when my energy is low. I realize when my energy is low. Question number 12. I am clear about what actions I need to take after meeting with others. I am clear about what actions I need to take after meeting with others. Question number 13. When I am in a small group situation, I attempt to assess the mood of each person. When I am in small group situation, I attempt to assess the mood of each person. Number 14. When with someone who is angry or frustrated, I adjust my behavior to work with them. When with someone who is angry or frustrated, I adjust my behavior to work with them. Number 15. On receiving bad news, I give myself time to reflect, absorb, and then move on. On receiving bad news, I give myself time to reflect, observe, and then move on. Moving on to question number 16. I am aware of the impact my communication has on others. I am aware of the impact my communication has on others. Question number 17. I admit to my own mistakes. I admit to my own mistakes. I try to identify and understand the emotions and feelings of others. I try to identify and understand the emotions and feelings of others. 19. I am patient with others while teaching them something new. I am patient with others while teaching them something new. Question number 20. When I feel disappointed, I am able to express that disappointment and keep going. When I feel disappointed, I am able to express that disappointment and keep going. We are done with 20 questions out of 30. If any of you have missed anything, because the table which you have made in the beginning, if you have not filled any answer in that table, so you know which question you have missed. If you want me to go back to that question, I can do that. Fantastic. I'll move ahead. Question number 21. I am aware how my mood and communication might affect others around me. I am aware how my mood and communication might affect others around me. Question 22. I observe others to model and learn new behaviors or skills beneficial to me. I observe others to model and learn new behaviors or skills beneficial to me. Question 23. If someone shows frustration, anger, or irritation, I try to understand what they are feeling. If someone shows frustration, anger, or irritation, I try to understand what they are feeling. Question 24. I welcome feedback from others. Question number 24. I welcome feedback from others. 25. I am able to accept and adjust when major plans are changed. I am able to accept and adjust when major plans are changed. Moving on to next screen. Question number 26. When feeling sad or down, I can identify the cause. When I am feeling sad or down, I can identify the cause. 27. When a bad mood comes over me, I am able to remain patient with others. When a bad mood comes over me, I am able to remain patient with others. I put myself in the place of others. I put myself in the place of others to understand how they feel and how I might feel in that situation. I put myself in the place of others to understand how they feel and how I might feel in that situation. Question 29. I encourage others to give me feedback even if they disagree with me. I encourage others to give me feedback even if they disagree with me. Question number 30. When upset about a personal issue, I find it difficult to concentrate. When upset about a personal issue, I find it difficult to concentrate. So with this, I am done with all my 30 questions. If you have answered all your 30 questions, fantastic. If any of you,
Sir, please go to the question number 7 once.
7, 1 minute, I will go. Question number 7 is, when I get angry or frustrated, I remain composed in my behaviors. When I get angry or frustrated, I remain composed in my behaviors.
Okay, sir.
Fantastic. Anybody else want me to repeat any of the questions? Because I want all of you to have answers to all the questions in the way the table I had.
Yeah. From the slide of 16 to 20. May I repeat?
I will go. Yeah.
Sure.
Fine. Question number 16. I am aware of the impact my communication has on others. 17. I admit to my own mistakes. 18. I try to identify and understand the emotions and feelings of the others. I am patient with others while teaching them something new. 20. When I feel disappointed, I am able to express that disappointment and keep going. Anybody else want me to repeat any of the questions? I am happy to do that, but I want all of
Sir,
you. Yeah,
sir, 21 to 25, please.
fantastic. 21. I am aware how my mood and communication might affect others around me. 21. I am aware how my mood and communication might affect others around me. 22. I observe others to model and learn new behaviors or skills beneficial to me. 23. If someone shows frustration, anger, or irritation, I try to understand what they are feeling. 24. I welcome feedback from others. 25. I am able to accept and adjust when major plans are changed. I am able to accept and adjust when major plans are changed. Anyone else?
Sir, question number 15.
15. Question number 15. Upon receiving bad news, I give myself time to reflect, absorb, and then move on. Upon receiving bad news, I give myself time to reflect, absorb, and then move on. Anybody else? Any doubt?
Sir, last slide, please. 26 to 30.
1 minute. Here we go. 26. When feeling sad or down, I can identify the cause. 27. When a bad mood comes over me, I am able to remain patient with others. 28. I put myself in the place of others to understand how they feel and how I might feel in that situation. 29. I encourage others to give me feedback even if they disagree with me. When upset about a personal issue, I find it difficult to concentrate. Anybody else? Anybody else? If there is no response, then I'll move to the next slide. Okay, thank you. Okay, now you know the column headers. Now on the same paper, mark it column 1 was self-awareness. Column 2 is self-management. Column 3 is empathy. Column 4 is relationship. Column 4 is motivation and resilience. So now you know what each column means: self-awareness, self-management, empathy, relationship, motivation, and resilience. Total your score for each column. Total your score for each column. I'm giving you 2 to 3 minutes for each of you to do this. Total your score for each column. For each column, your score can be minimum 5 and maximum 30. If anybody is getting a number other than this range of 5 to 30, then surely you have done something wrong. So I have put on the timer and I will wait. I'll give you 2 minutes and then we will move on to the next part. In the between these 2 minutes, if anybody has any doubt or want me to go back to any of the questions, please feel free to let me know. Column A talks about self-awareness. Column B talks about self-management. Column C talks about empathy. Column D talks about relationships. And column E talks about motivation and resilience. Total scores for each column. Each total should not be more than 30 and less than 6. So your score column range, column total has to be between 6 and 30. If you are getting that score, fine. If you are getting anything different, then you have done something wrong. We still have 30 seconds to go. Last 10 seconds. Fine, here we go. So I'm assuming you all have your totals with you. That's purely for your own awareness, your own analysis. There is nothing good, bad, excellent about it. You will know the scores. You know if your score for any column is between 6 to 12, then there is a room for improvement. If your score is between 13 to 23, you are good, effective. If your score is from 24 to 30, you are excellent and highly effective. So you will have 5 columns. Each column you have your score, which represents scores. Column A represents scores in self-awareness. Column B, self-management. Column C, empathy. Column D, relationship. And column E is motivation and resilience. So this was the assessment which I wanted you all to do it. And I am sure that you all have done it with complete seriousness, because that is for you. You know where you stand. If in any of the columns you feel that there is a chances of improvement, you know it. You know how to work it out. And if you are stuck anywhere, please feel free to connect with me anytime. I assure you that I will answer all your queries and I'll help you out on this journey. I move on to the next slide, which is a final word from my side, which I would always love to read it. I read it myself also. To empathize with someone does not mean to completely understand them as they are. Even when you do not understand them, you learn to value their existence and treat them for who they are and not what you want them to be. Rest assured, you cannot change anyone else. The only person you can change is you yourself. Just imagine, can somebody else change you? Very difficult. Will you change for someone else? Not possible. The only person who can change is you yourself. And the day you do it, the same people around you, the same environment, the same triggers, the same emotional filters, everything else will change. And you will start leading a very, very happy life. Yes, it sounds very simple. It just took me 1.5 hours to give this download to you, but it is not that easy to practice, but it is not impossible. You have to take the first step. And I'm sure by attending this session, you have taken that first step. My request to each of you is, please do not stop here. Please do not stop here. I'm sure out of this 24 hours of time which we have it each day, even if you spend 10 minutes on yourself, 10 minutes on analyzing where you are and where you want to move ahead in your life, what is it that you are doing wrong? What is it that needs improvement? Trust me, within 20 to 30 days, you will start seeing differences in yourself. You will find it very difficult in first initial few days because change is always difficult. But yes, if you continuously practice it for some days, then it becomes a habit. Then it will become a natural awareness. They say that when I take sessions on habits, it takes 21 days for a human being to practice something for that to result into habit. If you do something continuously for 21 days with your heart and soul into it, rest assured on 22nd day, you don't have to put an extra effort. That becomes an habit from that day. And it is possible. I have tried all these things on me and then only I can talk about it. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult and it becomes artificial to talk about all such things. Thank you very much. I think I am on time. I wanted to keep last 10-15 minutes for the sessions, for the question answers, and I think I am successful.
Now participants can ask questions.
Yes.
This was general lecture, not the technical one. So you might be having a lot of queries.
Good
You can
afternoon,
ask one
sir.
by one.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is Dr. Varsha Harpare. I'm a professor at ENTC and I'm very thankful to you for this session. I'm very happy. I just want to ask you, sir, whether possessiveness is good or bad. And if I am having possessiveness,
Yeah.
how will I recover with it? Because if it is bad, if it is good, how it will be good for me?
See, there is nothing called good or bad. Okay. If you are possessive about something, okay, and if that remains, this is Dr. Varsha, correct?
Right, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So if you are possessive about something and you are sure that it is going to remain with you forever, then there is nothing good or bad about it. Just imagine a scenario, you have that with you today, and tomorrow, because of some reasons, it doesn't have it with you. It is not with you. Then how are you going to feel about it? You have to ask yourself one question. The thing or a person or whatever it is, okay, I'm naming it something, okay, that's something which you are talking about. If you are possessive about it, just imagine a scenario that tomorrow, if that thing is not there with you, what kind of impact that is going to have on your life. Will you be still able to live the way you are, or your lifestyle or your quality of life will deteriorate? If your lifestyle is going to deteriorate, then that possessiveness is not good, because everything, whatever that thing is you are possessive about, is not going to be with you forever. I can tell that without even knowing what is that. Nothing is forever. So if you feel that yes, tomorrow if it is not there and still you can live without it, then fine, then possessiveness is okay. Otherwise, it is not good.
Sir, thank you. But actually, I'm saying that possessive note is always with the people around us. It may be with the work that we are doing since so many years, and suddenly it happens that some qualifying person comes up and he take over that.
Yeah.
So that time also it becomes difficult to manage with these kind of what you can say distress and to live with for some few days, and
Yeah.
we need to recover. It will take a lot of time, some
Correct.
2-3 months to come out of it.
Correct. See, such things which see, whatever you are talking, right? All these things are painful. I will not say I will not even use the word which you said that it becomes difficult. Can some people go on mute, please? I can hear some disturbance in the lines. Manpreet or host, can you put people on mute? Otherwise, I'll not be able to answer. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, sorry about that, Varsha, Dr. Varsha. See, you used a very simple word that when you miss something, life becomes difficult. I would say it's not a word is not difficult. It becomes very painful. But you have to ask yourself. See, you can do your best to be in back to that position. But if that cannot happen, then you have to move ahead. You cannot just keep thinking, what do I do next? What do I do next? It's painful for me. How do I get out of it? You have to find out a way to move out of it. Yes, it's easy for me to say. We all go through this. Even I have gone through these stages. You won't believe that it remains there with us. It hurts us for next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and for some people even it takes more time. But what you
True,
have to do,
sir.
you have to indulge yourself in some different activity which gives you more happiness.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is what, but it takes a lot of time to come out of it.
It takes
And
lot of
sometimes it happens that we come out of it, but sometimes it is there in our mind. Some of the
Yeah.
other way it get triggered, as you said.
Correct. Dr. Varsha, I have shared my email ID and contact details on the last slide. Okay. I do take sessions on positive psychology also. To just give you a brief background, that positive psychology, see, we have heard about psychology, we have heard about counseling and all that, but positive psychology is a completely different ballgame altogether. In positive psychology, we don't talk about any negatives. We don't even talk about weaknesses. Generally, if you have gone through the sessions or you have read, people talk about your strengths and weaknesses. In positive psychology, we only talk about strengths. If you are interested, you can get connected with me. Okay. I will give you one assessment in that will take around 15 to 20 minutes, and then I can create your strength report. Once your strength report is ready with me, then we can talk, we can have a discussion on that strength report. Because what happens, sometimes we feel kindness or love is my strength, but in the background, we never know, we may be suffering because of that kindness or love for others. So that strength report,
Very rightly said, sir.
because that strength report, when it will come in front of you, right? And when I start talking to you about each of your strengths, I'll be talking about around 30 strengths in that. You will realize that the strength which you were always feeling, you were very proud to say that this is my strength. Sometimes that is the one which is doing a lot of damage to you. So if you are interested, you can connect with me.
Sure, sir, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, I like your session very much. Thank you so much. At least explaining me that I need to introspect every point of time.
We all. The game starts there. Sad part is this: we all want to change others around us, and that is something which is never going to happen. Trust me. If you are married, if you cannot even change your spouse. Forget about changing others. You cannot even change your parents. You cannot even change your kids. First step is to change yourself, and then make a change in such a way that others feel like following you. You want to change them, that change will happen only when they start following you. The moment you start pushing them for a change, you give them a command to change, that will not happen.
Very true, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll get back to you, sir.
Sure.
Through mail or let's see, through mail only, that I'll talk to you and let's see how. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Varsha. Any other questions?
So anyone asked to?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Sir, first, good afternoon to you, sir.
Very good afternoon.
And I think it's very interesting topic you are taking during this lecture, sir. And according to my point of view, sir, it is possible to be happy to keep others happy also.
Sorry?
I think sir, it is possible to be happy to myself.
Yeah.
To keep others happy also.
Okay.
Because when we are going to happy myself, definitely it's harass the other happiness, like my family, like society and all.
Okay.
So it is possible to be happy to keep others happy also.
See, my learning from experiences of life is you can keep others happy only when you are happy. You tell me that something is going on wrong in your life, you are sad, you are angry, okay? In that kind of behavior or in that kind of body language, can you keep people around you happy? I don't. And even if you are able to do that, that will be artificial. That will not be coming from heart. If you yourself is not feeling happy, trust me, you cannot keep others happy. Have you ever traveled by aircraft? Correct?
Yes.
Before the aircraft takes off, the air hostess do some session, right? That 30-minute session. In that also,
Yes.
the only thing which they focus more is, in case of any emergency, please put oxygen mask on yourself first, and then
Yes,
only you
yes.
can. So same way, to answer your question, you have to keep yourself happy before you keep others happy. Because if you are not happy, you cannot keep others happy. And if you are doing that, then the happiness for others is artificial. That will not last for a longer period. But yes, here you have to keep a thin line difference. Most of the people, the whole world today is talking about self-love, self-happiness, self blah, 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 lot of self things. Okay. But do not forget that there is another world called being selfish also. So there is a thin line difference between self-love, self-happiness, self-care, and selfish. So when you are being self-love, self-care, be on this side of it. Don't cross the line and come to being selfish. Because that line, most of us misses it. We are always feeling that, no, somebody taught me that I need to be happy before I make others happy. But in that process, don't become selfish. Don't become selfish. That there is a thin line difference between all these things. So you need to be very careful about it. Yes, based on my experiences, I can surely say you can keep others happy only if you are happy.
Thanks, sir. Thanks for your suggestions.
Sir, there is another question in the chat box. Mayur
Yeah.
is asking, nowadays there are many motivational speakers available on YouTube. Do they have a net impact on the society for the upliftment of the individuals or not?
Let me read this question again. Nowadays, there are many motivational speakers available on YouTube. Do they have a net impact on society or the upliftment of individuals? Okay. Mayur, yes, even I go through this digital
Yes, sir.
media. I go through this digital media and I also go through YouTube channels. I also go through some Facebook live sessions. I also attend some sessions. I also take some sessions. Okay. I don't know what has happened in last 2 years till the time this COVID came. I think in every house we have a speaker. And
Yes,
in
sir.
every house we have a motivational speaker. Okay, everybody feels that they can give some session, they can go live. Challenge here is because going live on YouTube doesn't cost you anything. It's free of cost. You just need to have a net. You have to have a YouTube account and start talking. The question is, you have to ask yourself. Now, today, if I've taken this session, to me, the biggest question which I will be asking myself is when I'm going to watch this session again, or when I'm going to connect with my family members is, do you see any improvement in this? Do you feel where I can improve? That these two things. And I'm sure there are around 80 plus people who are still connected. And I'm sure if not all, even if 10% of the people out of this 80 connect with me and give me the feedback wholeheartedly, yes, I did this part well. I could have done this part in a much better way. I think that will be a takeaway from me. Yes, upliftment of the society and individual can happen with all these people around, but all that depends on you as an individual. If you have come to any session or if you log into YouTube and listen out on any session, you are listening to that session. But first, you have to tell yourself, I am attending this session or I am listening to this session because I want to change. That is the first step which you have to take. If you take that step, trust me, you attend any of the sessions, irrespective of any speaker, I'm sure if it is a 1 hour session, there will be a 5 minutes or 6 minutes of a talk which can impact your life. May not be everything will be meaningful to you. Today also, I have spoken for around 2 hours. Maybe 1 or 2 or 3 slides could be very impactful to you. Rest may all may not even make any sense to you. But to me, the challenge is if Mayur goes back and thinks that, okay, if he has to do self-awareness, if he has to do self-analysis, he knows his emotional quotient score. Does he need any improvement? And if he works towards that improvement, I think that is an upliftment of that individual, which is called Mayur.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Sorry?
Yeah, I'm audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Srinidhi.
Srinidhi, yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful session, sir. Just out of curiosity, I want to know if score is less than 6 in any one of the column,
Yeah.
there is no chance for any improvement?
Who says this? I will tell you. Let me go back to this. Okay. For me, when I did this exercise for me, okay, my everything was very good. My self-management was 7. Okay, my self-management column was 7. So I got very good score in all that part. Now see, self-management here is, see, I know I need to change. I know I'm doing well with the relationships. I am resilient. I am motivational. Okay, but when it comes to me, okay, maybe I'm not able to manage myself properly. Now that self-management does not hold only to your official work or your personal life. Whatever you do right from the beginning when you wake up to the end. Okay, I'm since you asked this question, my self-management score was too low because I have an habit of pushing the things to the last point. Okay, I know if I can achieve, I have 15 days to finish a work. Okay, trust me, generally those works which I know can impact only me, I will do that work only on the 15th day in the last hour. So if your self-management score is low,
So in fact,
something
my
is wrong
score is
in.
5. That's why I asked.
Sorry.
In fact, my score is 5. That's why I worried and I thought of asking this question.
No, you don't have to be worried
in the
about.
self-management.
You don't have to be worried about it. Good part is this: now you know that your self-management score is low. But the next question is, do you agree to that? That is important. Because when we were doing that assessment, you answered it. Okay, you know how seriously you answered all that, and you got a score. But now you have the score. Do you agree to that score? Do you feel that you are lacking on self-management? What is your answer as an individual? That you have to ask yourself. I don't want you to expose yourself in the group. Okay, if you are comfortable, fine. If you are not, ask yourself that, okay, I have got a low score on this, but do you agree to that score? The answer will be either yes or no. If you do not agree to that score,
Yeah, it's
then
100%.
sorry.
It's 100%. I'm reflecting on the actual things. So I'm 100% sure that there is some deficiency in that.
Correct. Okay. So rather, the first step is, the bigger step is done. You know where you have to work, and you can start working on it. Now, how do you have to start working on it? You have to analyze yourself. Ki what is it that you are lacking in your self-management? If you can find it out, you can start working on it. If you cannot find it out, then my answer to you will be same. Connect with me. I can do that strength analysis for you also, and then we can get into a one-on-one talk.
Sure, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Srinidhi. Any more questions?
I think there are no more questions in the chat.
Yeah, even I don't see anything in the chat now. Yeah.
Okay, with this, we conclude this session. So I'm very thankful to Gurmeet Singh Hora, who accepted my request and spare his time for this particular talk. So he has covered very important topics like emotional hijack, how emotional intelligence can change your life, that how to avoid getting emotionally overwhelmed in different situations, and then intelligent quotient, then emotional quotient. So these are the very important, I think, terms which we were not
Correct.
knowing previously, and now we are well versed, and now we can have the feedback from our mind to improve ourselves. After
Correct.
this lecture, we can have this type of assessment again, because now we have understand how to think, how to check ourselves, how to control our emotions. So these things are very, very important, specifically in the job environment, when one way or the other we are having stress every day. So it's important for all the participants to self-assess themselves after this particular session, so that they can improve their personality after attending this session. And they are most welcome by the expert. They can connect the expert after this session also for any sort of guidance. They can take their number, they can take the number from me. So sir, always there to help you out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Gurmeet.